Hey kids, how's it going? Well, as you can see, it's summertime. Time for fun, sun, shade, lemonade, and of course, water. Yes, water, giver of life, source of recreation, and the breeding ground of all nightmares. You know, no matter what generation you're a part of, it always seems there's a fright film or two trying to teach us to stay out of the water. So let us wind back the clock and see where it all began with a duel of classics. It's a double feature, kids, so remember what your Uncle Newton told you: stay out of the water. Let's rewind to the golden age of horror, where monsters typically came from Transylvanian crypts and mad scientists' laboratories. As the genre evolved, monsters gradually gravitated more towards real life and less towards gothic fantasy. In the 1950s, this meant beasts born of science or nature run amok, colossal mutations, alien invaders, giant animals, and of course, missing links. The creature from the Black Lagoon was the last of Universal's classic monsters, but by no means is he the least. A Desian of the deep rather than the shadows, he has just the right look to fit in with Frankenstein, Dracula, and the rest. The movie's also pretty good too. In a riff on the classic King Kong archetype, a scientific expedition to a lost tributary of the Amazon disturbs a prehistoric monster who falls for the team's sole female associate. It quickly turns into a fight for survival as the scientists try to escape the Black Lagoon before falling victim to its apex predator, all while dealing with conflict amongst the team itself. Kay is in love with David, who wants to study the creature to better understand man's relationship with nature, while Mark, who also loves Kay, wants the creature dead or alive for all the fame and profit it will bring. He doesn't care who has to die, even if it's himself.
I'll be the bait for him. Oh, Mark, get out of my way.
Richard Denning's performance is awesome, by the way. He's the bad guy you love to hate.
Come on, David. You can play house later.
The best character in the whole movie, though, is Lucas, played by Nestor Paiva. He's the captain of the ship chartered by the doomed expedition. He has more memorable lines and moments than I can count.
On the water, the Capitan makes the decisions. We will do as you say.
You'll listen to me.
You wish to say something, mister? Eh?
I can tell you something about this place. My boys call it the Black Lagoon.
The paradise.
Only they say nobody has ever come back to prove it.
And then there's the creature. What can I say? The Gill-Man is awesome. A classic design and a uniquely sympathetic monster that would inspire scream beasties for years to come. I love his theme music too. It's so obnoxious and loud, and the composers literally beat it into the ground. Then there's the underwater photography, which is impressive in and of itself, but when viewed in 3D, it truly becomes a sight to behold. That's right, this is one of those 50s 3D movies. For years, the 3D version could only be seen at revival screenings, but now it's readily available thanks to the magic of Blu-ray. Which means you can watch it in your very own home. Creature from the Black Lagoon shouldn't have been a classic. It was just one more of those B-movies in the assembly line, but director Jack Arnold caught lightning in a bottle and Universal created their final monster icon. The Gill-Man appeared in 2 more movies, resulting in a trilogy where he was allowed to evolve and ultimately meet his tragic fate. But it was the original that kept audiences out of the water for years to come. And just when its power began to wane, just when viewers thought it was safe to go back in the water, something far more real rose from the depths.
Well, this is not a boat accident.
This shark, swallow you whole.
You open the beaches on the 4th of July, it's like ringing the dinner bell.
You got any better suggestions?
Jaws, directed by Steven Spielberg and released by Universal Pictures in 1975, was the first movie to take the world by storm. A cultural phenomenon and a box office monster that set the stage for Star Wars and others. Today, blockbusters are pretty commonplace, with 5 new ones coming out every weekend. Spectacle is their speciality, but Jaws is a little different.
You know the thing about a shark, he's got lifeless eyes, black eyes like a doll's eyes. When he comes at you, he doesn't seem to be living until he bites you. And those black eyes roll over white, and then... oh, then you hear that terrible high-pitched screaming. The ocean turns red. In spite of all the pounding and the hollering, they all come in and they rip you to pieces.
The core of Jaws is drama. It's a character study. Starring Roy Scheider, Richard Dreyfuss, and Robert Shaw, the film concerns a small-town sheriff named Brody struggling to do the right thing and remain strong in the face of crisis. And by crisis, I mean a great white shark who aims to turn the beach into a buffet table.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
He is joined in his crusade by a marine biologist and a salty old man of the sea who take the fight to nature in a chase across the high seas. While the second half of the story is very much an adventure movie, make no mistake, the first half is a horror film in every sense of the word. I've seen Jaws play with an audience several times, and it still holds up, even with modern viewers. Every jump scare, every mindfuck, Jaws is still a beast. Today, the mechanical shark has become the brunt of jokes, but it actually holds up very well. Anything not in keeping with scientific accuracy, like his bulldog jowls, just adds to his character. Known affectionately by fans as Bruce, the shark actually doesn't have a lot of screen time. Due to technical difficulties with the production, Spielberg decided to shoot Jaws like a psychological thriller, implying the shark's presence more than actually showing it. The result is uniquely frightening. I should also mention the score. This was one of John Williams' first masterworks, and deservedly so, he won an Oscar for it.
That's a 20-footer.
25. 3 tons on them.
When Jaws comes to mind, though, it's usually the characters I think of first. Scheider's Brody is a person struggling with his role as both a man and an authority figure. On paper, it is the Dreyfuss and Shaw characters that should be the ones to take the shark down. And you notice that when the hunt begins, Brody, no pun intended, is a fish out of water despite their chemistry.
You wanna drink? Drink to your leg?
I'll drink to your leg.
Okay, so we drink to our legs.
But it's only through their bonding and chemistry that the knowledge of the scientist and the experience of the seaman are able to come together in Brody to defeat the menace. The climax is a thrilling one, and like the explosion of the Death Star in Star Wars, it remains to this day a prime example of how to end a movie.
Smile, you son of a bitch!
So what have we really learned here? Well, monsters from the deep have always menaced us, and they will continue to menace us. From the Black Lagoon to the open ocean, predators will always find their way into our nightmares.
So enjoy your summer, kids. Enjoy the fun, enjoy the sun, but for God's sakes, stay out of the water.
Lifeless eyes, black eyes like a doll's eyes.